My guest tonight is a Grammy Award-winning artist whose new album is called CAOS. Please welcome Miguel. Thank you so much for coming.
Man, what? I am so excited to be here and talk. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thanks so much, man.
The album is phenomenal.
Thank you very much, man. It took a
it's
lot of love and time.
Yeah. It's been 8 years since your last studio album, so you're like the Daniel Day-Lewis of sexy music. Like, you've been gone for a while, and now it's like you never left. This is wild.
Listen, that's the hope and prayer every time you kind of go away for a second. And it was with a lot of intention. So a lot has changed. You know, we've been through an entire global catastrophe of trying to figure out what we're gonna do when, you know, everyone's lives are at stake. You know, and I think that alone would be enough. But you know, just growth, man, and you know, just seeing the world go through a lot of changes. I think it was the right amount of time to go away and figure myself out.
Yeah, because you went through your own like personal changes. How did you put that into the music?
That was a lot of reflection. You know, being away kind of gives you time to kind of reprioritize in a way that I needed, in a big way. And I think what that did was it naturally lent to digging into my heritage and finding a deeper sense of pride of where I come from, which is probably why the album is titled CAOS and not Chaos. As the title would suggest, it's all about, you know, what's happening and as within, so without kind of approach to the conversation. But exploring my Mexican heritage, which is evident in a lot of the visuals, which is homage to Danza de los Diablos, which is a celebration, an Afro-Mexican celebration in Mexico that commemorates African slaves freeing themselves. Is this kind of like cultural significance that made a big impact on this album. So, you know, when you look at the way that fascism, the way that authoritarianism has really been playing out in front of us and we're seeing hints of it, you know, I'm really proud that I was able to kind of infuse this pride in my heritage and cultural identity to kind of take a stand for what matters. I think it's important to celebrate those things now.
Yeah. So your first studio album was 15 years ago. How do you, like, no, like, I just mean you've been doing something so well for so long. Like, how has that changed for you now, from the first album to now? Like, whether the process has changed or whether your approach to music has changed?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly come out like, I gotta get the bag. I need the culture, I need the hits, I need the big song, I need the big everything. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely been something that at that time felt so important that now is kind of such a, in the back of, it's taken a back seat to how important it is for art to continue to bring people together. And I think emotional resonance has everything to do with that. I think that's why we listen to music in other languages, why we can gather around fine art and not understand where the artist is coming from, but completely lock in on a detail that we find ourselves in. So I think that's been the big difference. It's been the big difference, really locking in on the emotional nature and the importance of emotionality in the work.
Yeah, because I'm not even necessarily pulling this away from what you just said, but this is what you made me think of. It seems like when you were a new artist and you're starting out, that so much of your intention and so many of your goals seem, not even in a bad way, but just in an honest way, like ego-driven, of like, you want to, like you say, get the bag, or you want to have a hit, or you just want to show how great you are and everything. And then I think there's just like this way that music evolves over a long career where then, even though the beginning seems to be a bit of ego, the next part of it is self, but it's like self in a way of discovery. And I think that's what I'm hearing when I listen to this. You know?
Thank you for saying so. Yeah, I mean, we all want to get to the bag. You know, we want to make sure we get to the money. We live in it's a capitalist paradigm, you know, so it's always going to be in the back of the mind. I think really listening to all of my favorites, you know, you go back to Marvin Gaye and you go back to David Bowie and you go back to Queen and you go back to, you know, the Rolling Stones, or you go back to, you know, one of my favorites, the Minutemen from San Pedro, which is where I'm from, punk band. You know, it's like you listen to the expression and it's so pure, and there's integrity in the music that you can feel, and that's absolutely been the driving force coming back. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because when it comes to how artists evolve, everyone I think wants to, like you say, get the bag, but they also want to be around to make more stuff for a very long time, and you have to be making changes to make that happen. And so I wonder if you have any advice for like a younger artist who is working on things, but there's only so much room at like the Grammys. There's only so much room to win a Grammy. There's only if these are sort of your goals, they're so much harder to achieve. But I think so much of art is about like what you put out there, not necessarily what comes back. And so do you have any advice for like a young person who's like, maybe I'll never get the Grammy, or maybe I'll never get the bag, but like what their music means to people?
Well, we have to remember that all of these accolades and whatnot are a function of a market system, right? Which, if you work backwards, you're going to think about how valuable or how valid or viable the product is in order to go to market to make the money. So the real key is, how do you make the money? You have to find the audience for the product. And if you work backwards from there, my advice would be find your audience. And how do you do that? I think it's about locking into the details about your life and your point of view that are so uniquely yours, and doubling down on that so hard and consistently that you separate yourself from the madness that we are constantly being sold at every point in our lives. So yeah, just digging in on our details. You know, I think my favorite art, and I think the best art, is the feeling you feel seeing yourself in other artists' details. And I think that's the best advice I could give, is put as many of your own details in your work and it will emerge on its own. Yeah.
So, in general, do you have any feelings about the direction of music, of how music's going? We've seen the shifts, like already in our own lifetime. We've seen what it means for like an album to sell. Like, you used to just buy the album, physical copy, you own it as well. Yeah. And then it became this whole like piracy scandal, where piracy seemed like the way for a little while because people didn't have enough money. Yeah.
I miss it. I really bring it back. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, that's where they bring it back now.
But now, through that, we got to this place of streaming, and now streaming is all the way down to the song. So now people are trying to be as marketable as possible in 5 seconds, rather than making an album that somebody would want most of. You know?
Yeah.
What do you think, and how do you feel about the future of music right now?
I think the music business has always taken advantage of the art, or the artists rather, right? From its inception, music has exploited, or the music business has exploited the artists, of the creators. So it's not that we're seeing anything new now, per se. It's just a different version. It's an optimized, it's a upgrade to the general function of the music business. I think the most important thing now that we're seeing happen is we're seeing artists strike out on their own and come up with new solutions. And I think being able to kind of build this discourse and this conversation around taking ownership of the audience, whoever they are, for each individual artist, whatever their application, whatever their principal focus is. I think that's why it's so important that artists really take the time to identify their audience and really lock in with them and leverage their audience in a way that empowers them, obviously financially, but creatively in parallel. That way, we don't have to go to the larger corporations that exist. And instead, I think what it'll do is it'll push artists to kind of find new solutions, build them for themselves, offer them to other artists. That way we build a more equitable system by which we can kind of share our art in a, you know, in a capitalist society.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. You are currently this artist in residence at NYU. You're the scholar in residence, and can you tell me about the program?
Yeah. Tremendous honor. Yeah.
Can you tell me more about it?
So the course that we've designed is titled "Speaking Chaos to Power." I can't tell you how tremendously honored I am to kind of be welcomed as a scholar in residence at NYU, one of the most prestigious fiduciaries. But I wanted to figure out how we could empower the artists, the students, in a way that the courses that they're taking now don't. And I think the biggest takeaway from the curriculum is that in every moment of uncertainty in our human history, inflection points have presented themselves in the chaos. And we can draw a parallel, whether it's in the 50s and 60s here in the United States with the civil rights movement, across time. It took people not just being on the front lines, but more importantly, organizing in the back rooms, coming together, having conversation, talking about what's wrong, what's not working, and figuring out what they would like to happen and how it should look. And the point in the distance that they want to arrive. And so the course is really about speaking chaos to power through art and figuring out what unique thing we can say about what we're seeing in the world, in our art, in a way that at least brings people to the table to have those conversations, organize and mobilize. I think there's nothing more important than that today. Not just for art, but across the board. You know, whether it's we want to draw some social change, we want to see some political change. That's why I love seeing what happened here in New York. Shout out to Mary Mondami. You know what I'm saying? We love that. Yeah. We love that. Yeah.
Because it seems like so much of why you do what you do, so much of what you're creating, and your approach to fixing things feels like community. It feels like that is the sort of antidote to this general capitalist chaos, is that if you all come together, because coming together is free, you know?
That's right. For now.
Yeah. Right.
All of us are like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's not even.
I didn't even. Yeah, I feel. Wow, that scared everybody. That's. Oh man. Yeah. I just when I listen to your music and when I talk to you, it seems like you are someone who is.
Say something good.
Yeah. It just feels like you are so passionate about bringing life forward and bringing people forward and taking us to a better place and everything. And I'm very grateful for the work that you do. And I think that your intentions with what you make, it's like it's so easy sometimes whenever you listen to an album to take away only what you take away from it. Kind of like those like bangers that you hear, or like the Billboard. You're like because you will pull something away from music that is like so personal, and even if it has like some universal message to it, like you might talk to the artist and the artist would be like, oh, the song is about heroin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you're like, oh, I love to dance to this one. You know what I mean? But
I play it for my kids.
Yeah, and I think that but I think that your real talent is that whenever I listen to your music and then I actually listen to you talk about your music, without being able to pinpoint it from the time that I heard it, I still hear what you're talking about when I'm thinking about what I felt when I first listened to it, you know, which is like such a special thing. I think that that's really, because you can have so much intention with what you're trying to say, but I think that on top of the sort of loss of community, there's a loss of communication. And I think that what you're doing at NYU and what you're doing in your music is like helping to bridge some of that. You know, do you feel that when you talk to people about it, or do you feel that when people talk to you about the project?
Man, I mean, I feel it the most when it's a thank you very much for saying. So I can't stress how important music has been to me and in my life. And I think so many artists would agree that, you know, that emotional quality of music is something you can't really put words on. It really does something in terms of belief and faith that, I'm sorry, I just feel like it'll always be so important and extremely, it should be priority. It should be prioritized. And I think we need it even more now when we feel a lot of, like I said, cultural identity being devalued or minimized. I think in a world that is technically or technologically connected but yet lacking connection, I think it is art that remains the place that we go to feel connected to one another. And I hope that the work that I get to do is a reflection of that. So I really don't take it, you know, lightly that I get to do this thing, and I'll continue to do that. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, because it just seems like, I don't know. Like I said, I think that you bring life, you bring so much to your music. Are you aware of how many babies have probably been made to your music? Like, there are so many people here now that are probably here because of you.
I've been told.
You know what I mean?
I've been told once or twice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not paying any child support on those babies. That is your job, man.
So I like to always like wrap up in a way that feels special to me and the guests. And you're Miguel. You're like a very sexy person. Oh, don't try to deny being sexy. It makes you more sexy.
You gotta take me off. Okay. It's just dinner and a movie first.
Yeah, okay.
Slow down.
Now, I hate to put you on the spot in front of all these wonderful people, but I need your help. I have not set up my voicemail. And I'm wondering if you would like be my voicemail. Like you would just, you know, like say like leave a message, this is Josh's phone, whatever, but just do it in your own very sexy way. Like, I mean, you could hum, you could whatever it is, but just okay, all right. You ready?
Okay, I didn't even okay.
All right. Okay.
Did I agree to this?
All right.
Did I agree to
Okay.
Hello? You reach Josh's phone, leave a message, and he'll get right back to you. Goodbye. We'll see you again. He'll be right back as soon as he can. Yeah.
Oh, man. This is amazing.
I got you.
So many people are gonna call me now.
Version 1, right?
This is incredible. Yo, Miguel, CAOS is available now, and tickets are on sale for his global tour, which kicks off in February. Miguel!